Welcome to the Speaking of Math podcast, episode number 15 by Door to Math. This podcast is devoted to all things math education and how parents can be a positive factor in their kids' math learning. Math is the gateway to many professional careers as well as confidence and personal growth. Find more information at www.doortomath2.com. So let's get on with the topic of the day. This problem that I hear over and over from you, it really makes me sad that, especially I think it's true with girls, they really diligent, do their homework and turn in, get 100% on homework, but then they do really bad on tests. And I think it breaks parents' hearts when they do that because they see how hard they try and they see they do good on homework. What is it about tests that trip people up?
Yeah, that breaks my heart also. I see that quite often at the office. One of the things I always want to pass on to my students, especially girls, is this. Homework and tests, they don't weight the same. They don't have the same importance, and they're not in the same phase of the learning cycle. When it comes to homework, it's more about learning and polishing. When it comes to tests, it's about performance and performance only.
And so the only difference is the time pressure?
Time pressure is a big chunk of it. Time pressure magnifies the whatever deficiency you have, kind of like money does. Money magnifies people, their fault and their good part. Same thing with tests. Tests magnify whatever you do have or you don't have.
So the test, there's time pressure, and whatever skills or knowledge that you're missing, it's magnified in tests and it can be glossed over in the homework. Any other things?
Yes, tests. When it comes to tests, what's really important is critical thinking, because the stuff you see on the test may look similar to your homework, but if you locked in the pattern on your homework, just repeating and busy work, when it comes to the test, something changed. That critical thinking of here's what I know, here's what I'm trying to get to, how do I get there? That's the critical thinking. If that process, skill, or muscle is really weak, chances are doing well on the test, it won't happen.
So I'm a mom or I'm a dad, and my daughter struggling with tests and does homework. And from what I'm hearing is that homework gives you almost a false sense of security. Is that accurate? Why do we need homework?
Yeah, that's two questions. So let's unpack that. That's really good. The first part of the question, if you think about the homework, kind of like buttons on a shirt, right? Button-down shirt. They're there. It's necessary, yes, but overall the shirt is there already. Test on the other side is actually give you a piece of fabric you have to cut and sew. That's what a test. So they're not in the same category. They don't require the same amount of work, and they require different muscle, completely different animal.
I can really see that my daughter is really trying hard on homework and does good, but still gets bad grades in tests, and I see it requires different skills in different parts of the brain. So what do I do in this case if I'm a parent and I really want to help my daughter?
Yeah, that's a really tough one. So I'll break this one at sixth grade. If you have a sixth grader or younger, I would say take one of those tests that your child failed, make that a homework. Give your child a taste of what successes look like. Do that instead of doing the busy work or homework. Now, if you have a sixth grader or above, the math does get significantly more challenging as the years goes on for the students. I would say probably if you can, find a professional help, a teacher, a counselor, a math mentor, tutor, whatever you can have in your knowledge or village, do that.
So under sixth grade, if you can get the test, have the child practice, have your daughter or son practice the test at home to see what it feels like. And if you're above sixth grade, get professional help. All right, that's fine. Now the other thing that brings me up is a lot of the parents I hear is they'll go to the school and they'll say, okay, my son gets really stressed out on tests, so he needs extra time and he needs to sit in a separate room. Is that a good idea?
I have a mixed feeling about this. On one side, I see that will help the students, perhaps ease them into learning a little bit better. On the other side, I would say, when you change the environment to suit your kids, sooner or later, the environment is going to kick back and say no. And, we have 18 years to raise our kids. The stronger we can help them become, the better chance they'll have to thrive outside our little cocoon. So, yes and no.
So does it depend on the circumstance? Under what circumstance do I fight the school and tell them to put my child in a separate room? And under what circumstance do I just work with them and practice the test taking beforehand? Does it depend on the child, the school, or what?
I'm very lopsided on this one. I'm probably going to take a lot of heat on this one. I'm a fundamental believer that fighting the school system is a bad idea. Parents, if you have energy, use it on your child to grow your child, to strengthen their muscle. I believe, in my opinion, it's much more better return on investment of your energy than fighting a system which is already being budget cuts and teachers are worn out. End of the day, our children is our responsibility.
All right, so I'm a parent again, and third grade, say, and I see this problem coming. I see that my daughter is really diligent. Maybe she memorizes too much. She does the homework. Tests aren't that big a deal yet, but they're gonna come. If I have a three-year time frame to work on this, what do I do so that this problem doesn't happen to my daughter in the 6th grade?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And if you're asking that question, kudos to you, because it's being very proactive parents would ask that question. One thing I would say, academic is not at that age that big a deal in a child's life. I would say find multiple ways to build the confidence up, because when and if a child does fall academically on a test or here and there, the kids who come with a family that built their confidence elsewhere withstand that failure or temporary setback so much better. So if you have a kid, you have a 3-year and you know it's coming, prepare the kid using other avenues.
So I hear build confidence is a real big deal. Now the next question that comes to me, my daughter gets 100s, 4th or 5th grade, and if she gave the homework to you with 100%, or if you watch her do homework and that one that she gets 100%, do you have a way to tell that she's going to get 100% on homework but she's going to do bad on tests?
Well, this is what I do at office all day. But here's the thing: if you're a mom or dad listening to this, and you sort of like math, but past beyond 9th or 10th, you don't want to touch the math again. Here's the thing you want to watch out then. If you watch your kid doing the homework is repetitive, you want to be careful with that, because kids like us, our brain pick up the patterns and stop thinking. So you don't want to turn homework into busy work. That's one. And number two, when you ask your kid what you've learned, if the kid can explain it very clearly and succinctly, then you're on a good track. If the kid just say, oh, we did the same thing 2 weeks ago, then either the kid is not picking up the nuances of the new material, or you have a teacher that's not quite doing the job.
All right, so the one thing that jumps out at me that I didn't think of before is ask the kid what you learned. And that's a bit startling to me, because it's such a simple question, but it brings out so much in that if you do repetitive work and if you tune your mind out, or if you listen to music and just do muscle memory and addition, then you don't really learn nothing except how to do muscle memory. And I think what you learn is a good one. Do you have some more questions after that to keep the conversation going? Some more leading questions perhaps that we can arm the parents with?
I do. I always believe that things come in group of 3. So if you ask your kid where you learn, the kid goes on a long, big explanation, very excited, then you're on good track. Next question is, what do you think you can use it for? That'd be a good one. So you get to think, get to help your kids think outside the boxes. Where do I use this? How can I apply it? And the third question, or in that group follow-up question, is that if you had to teach your buddy, what would you say? That question, I think, is important because that trains the kid to see from whoever he or she trying to teach from their point of view. And that's a huge part of teaching, because teaching is not yanking the knowledge and shove it down to someone's throat. It's more of a walking with someone and guide them to the same discovery. And if you can get trained over and over with that, I believe by the time when math actually gets harder, like in Algebra 1 or 2, that muscle is so strong if you got that 3-year head start.
All right, so I think I heard something again. The conversation that you can have with your child after doing the homework is much more important than the homework itself, and that conversation was going to lead to a higher test grade and maybe give the kids some skills that they wouldn't have had otherwise. Is that correct?
You got it. And that's one thing parents, since we have them for 18 years, can do it consistently in and out throughout the years, where our teacher only see our kids 1 year, maybe 2 at the most.
So I'm going to repeat those questions, and I think those are pretty important. So one question you can ask your child after their homework, and it doesn't have to be math, it can be other subjects, is what did you learn from this homework? And the other question is, how can you use it, or what can you use it for? And the third question, if you had to teach someone else, how would you do that? And that's a very important conversation to have, and that's what would translate hundreds on homeworks to hundreds on tests. And I think that's it. Until next time.
Happy parenting.